tall, so not the biggest barbarian, but I'm jacked.
To hair braids. As if we put it in 2 braids and then we wrapped it around, and then we gave them the flowers sticking out. And then when we did this,
another drink, please.
Yes, you may. And he goes over.
Put your hands up, it's better.
No. Sarah, roll me a Constitution saving throw. Yes, you. I'm gonna fight you.
He's sort of you guys know who I am, right?
Yeah. Goggles.
You're Dr. Mole.
Dr. Robot.
What do you do?
Take a moment to try to stop laughing.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one.
Why not? It worked again.
Hating on Batman.
And I don't hate Batman, for the record. I hate the fandom of Batman.
Oh, cool. Okay,
That's the
that's
issue.
way more people.
It is. It's
To
a
hate.
lot of, like, actual human beings.
Were you gonna?
You need to rub this crap off your neck and not smell like me, or I will fail. Just start rubbing his neck and just getting like.
I am fairly certain it doesn't matter what I smell like at this point.
To a feline, you have wolf's piss on you.
I'm just gonna point at my feline eyes.
I have some time.
You've just tuned in. We had the brilliant idea while we were fishing at the Dark Moon Festival.
Oh, jeez.
To do a dungeon with fishing poles equipped. Because why not? And so we drank all of the alcohol in our bags, and we equipped our fishing poles and our aquatic beds, and we went to do a dungeon.
I feel like I need to put up. So this was the end of our epic tale. What holds for next week as the heroes set sail? We may find more family, we may find where things start. All we know is to follow our hearts. So our heroes set forth to pillage and to wander in the magical continent of wonder. We have one more question. I hope to not blunder. The question for you, dear friends. Do you wonder? Thank you, guys. Indigo Connect.
Sit back, dear friends, and hear the tale, when fairies flew and ships did sail. You know the stories often told, of Peter Pan, both brave and bold, of Tinker Bell, clever and smart, of evil men born black of heart, adventure and treasure buried in sand, time held its breath in Neverland. But darkness fell on the island fair, a sickness rose of no compare, each creature and plant fell one by one, no respite found for anyone. So the island died, its people scattered, those left behind, broken and battered. Years went by, no end in sight, then through the darkness came new light. The island breathes and life returns, within our heroes a fire burns. The drive to find those who are lost, to build a home at any cost. Join pixies, skeletons, a mermaid or two, healers, never boys and lost boys too. They're here each week, new stories told, so pull up a chair and never grow old.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. It is, what is it? It's Friday. It's Friday. Yeah. I've got whiskey in hand with my Indigo Chameleon glass, and it is time for all of us to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
we've got a few announcements before we get started with tonight's game. We have an amazing Discord where you can come and hang out with us and all these amazing players that you see. There's a channel for memes and inspiration, and yours truly is getting ready to start. It's probably looking like November because I want to give some time to some things to finish. But you see a thistle. In November, I'm starting my own play-by-post. It's set in the wild, weird West. We're using a new system where you roll a d14 or draw from a deck of cards. It's really easy to pick up. You basically design a character that you think would be in this wild, weird West. We have some pretty amazing characters already flowing in, including an artificer of sorts, a dinosaur salesman. So we'll see.
What?
We'll see what happens. It's going to be a lot of fun. So please, you can only do that if you follow us on the Discord by clicking this little link right there, the Discord. Thank you so much. There's also a merch shop where you can find amazing shirts like the one Indigo Chameleon is wearing. They also have mugs like the amazing mug that Indigo Chameleon is drinking out of right now. It's a good way to help support the channel and rep your karma. We are constantly trying to reinvent the channel and add fun new features for you all to play with. So we have Dimitri's online store. It's a little store that if you're watching the show on desktop, you can scroll through and buy items. Tonight's item is Desbahai's wooden statue of a wolf. It is very, very cool. I found one that I think is really, really pretty, and it dives a little bit into the magic of the tribe here in Neverland. Yes?
Has anyone bought Death's puppy yet?
I don't think. I don't know.
I can check.
Cool.
You can check right now to see if. I don't think anyone's bought Death's puppy.
Don't do it, because I'm waiting for my paycheck. So I
but Death's puppy is still there. I think. When last I checked, it was. So lots of cool things. Also, tonight, if you're tuning in, we are very lucky to have been selected by Twitch, approved by Twitch, to do something called Stream Points. If you scroll down to where that little emoji is, you'll see a little karma right there. I changed the logo, so it's now Karma Points instead of Stream Points. But as you watch, as you tune in for things, you can earn Stream Points. Wolfgren just snagged Dez's wooden wool statue. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate you so much. You're the best, man. Way to rep the brand. You're the most amazing, buddy. We love you. Hello, Torrid, and hello, I think I saw another new Nightheart Gaming. Hi, guys. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, Stream Points. Those Stream Points are going to allow you, not only tonight, but down the line, to, just by tuning in, be able to affect the game in positive ways, granting rerolls and things of that sort. That's it for all the announcements on that end. For upcoming streams, tonight, Neverland. Sunday night, One Shot. Tune in for that. It's going to be something I'm calling a siege one shot, where most adventures start in a tavern. This one's going to start, and they're never going to leave, as the tavern is besieged by undead forces. I still haven't recruited players for it yet.
What day is this?
This is Sunday. Anybody that wants to come in, we're also.
One day I can't.
That's okay. But we're gonna do a little recruiting for that as well. That's Sunday.
Awesome.
Monday we have a one shot that I'm not DMing.
What?
Yeah, you're DMing it, buddy.
What?
Our good buddy Amaz Walderino is going to be DMing a one shot where we are, get ready for it, kids, level frickin' 20.
So it'll be super easy.
It's gonna be insane. I am playing one of the brand new Unearthed Arcana. If you like to nerd out about stuff, don't have my glasses. But tune in for that. I get to play a hero paladin, which is really cool. So tune in for that on Monday or a Tuesday night. We don't have a stream. Instead, we have a live feed from the Insane Asylum.
You want to fight?
We have a live feed. We're going to try something where we have a live feed from the Insane Asylum where the heroes of Wonderland are going to start the episode at 7 o'clock with individual interviews from the doctor who is interviewing them.
Oh, that's so cool.
Awesome.
And then at 8 o'clock we move to group therapy. And then we'll see if they can get out. There will be no overlays that week as we are going to be conducting these interviews not as well lit as they have been in the past.
Oh my God.
But I have it on authority
awesome.
that the doctor will be in full regalia and ready to interview you all based on your mass hallucinations that travel. Apparently some of you travel outside of Wonder. And so they will be questioning you not only on your characters from Wonder, but other characters that you seem to have invented along the way. So
Oh
more of that.
Oh my god.
More of that.
That's awesome.
As we dive into that
Oh man.
Tuesday.
Okay, I wasn't like really. I was like, oh, it's scary, but now I'm like, it's scary.
On the Discord,
Can
you
I
will find a
come?
typewritten letter from the doctor that was posted with information about these individual therapy sessions. So that's Tuesday. Thursday night, we don't have anything going on, but I kind of want to do something to continue the spooky week. The
Thursday?
spooky week. The
Thursday
Thursday.
is Halloween. Do you want something?
Is Thursday Halloween?
No,
that's
next Thursday. Excuse me.
I want something.
Do you want something?
Yeah.
I could do my something.
You want to do something?
Yeah.
What's your something?
Could be
no,
the.
wait, this Thursday, hang on a minute. This Thursday is the 24th, correct?
Yeah. What's Thursday?
Thursday the 24th, aren't we going back to the Lost Isle?
Oh, that's right. We are going back to the Lost
So
Isle.
we might have to do
Thank
it.
you for reminding me. That's perfect. We are going back to the Lost Isle. But I will find a time for you to go do your something because I'm always looking for you to come do your something. Thursday, that's right. We're going back to the Coven. We're going to the Salem Witch Trials. I have a brand new campaign that we're doing here on the channel that takes place on an island that travels back and forth throughout time. And this Thursday, the Lost Isle, the time period that we're traveling to is the Salem Witch Trials. So I've been doing research like crazy, but we'll be doing some other Lost Isle one-shots along the way where you'll be able to do D&D set within these different time periods. It's mixing my love of Doctor Who and D&D.
It's awesome.
And the brings us around to Never. So, once upon a time in Neverland, a group of heroes set forth on the most magnificent of adventures to buy a boat.
Yeah.
And great hilarity ensued as the group set forth, and they did indeed buy said boat.
Okay.
The boat was a piece of garbage that barely floated on the water. Inside this boat, locked away in a dark closet, was a tiny elemental. This elemental seems to have been crafted long ago by a group of magicians that push the boundaries of magic, fusing different elementals from the Feywild to essential items that one might use aboard a ship or during wartime. The group had an interesting encounter with this tiny gunpowder elemental, not knowing whether the right thing to do would be to put it out of its misery or to save it. The gunpowder elemental, through some clever thinking by the group, was able to communicate with the group, and the group quickly did the thing that they do best, which is adopt it as one of their own. They found a lost child, and they took it in. The gunpowder elemental said that there were many of them on the ship, and the giant metal ball was brought over to where the group was. The ball basically held the spirits of all of these elementals, which now, when we left our group, were beginning to disperse and manifest all over the deck of this ship. Your ship is being manifested. Heroes. The holes are beginning to close that once were. This once wrecked ship is now looking pristine, polished, and beautiful. These different elementals are starting to take form, and like I said before, I'm granting all of you the boon of being able to communicate and essentially commune with one of these odd elementals, coming up with a certain bonus that this relationship will grant you. This will be your conduit to the ship. Now, a lot of these elementals are skittery, like they're not, they don't human well. Some of them have been locked away for a while, so there's going to be some character quirks. However, as these elementals all begin to branch outward and take over parts of the ship, you see one that seems to be made of these clanging pots and pans that sort of looks at the group and like smiles, and as it does, it lifts a hand, and like one of the pots falls to the ground, and it falls, and it reaches down and picks it up, and it starts moving it over towards the kitchens and setting up. You see another elemental, that a couple of air elementals that begin to swirl about and dance with each other as one of the larger ones breaks away, heading to the deck, and one of them starts to fly off, comes back, comes over to where Eris is, and just begins to float in front of her face, and then swirl around her hair, pulls up her hair like this really big into like a little thing, and then like hides in the hair while the hair is standing straight up.
I scratch right here.
and then
Scratch it.
it just like poof, the hair comes down, and then you just see two little eyes sticking out of the hair, and it's like sticking out like this. The other elementals begin to disperse and make their way across the deck. It's their arrival and their sort of commotion as they begin to move about and bring this ship to life. The ship begins to respond in kind. You almost feel a reflexive heartbeat. The wood, the area becomes a little warmer, more homely, as candles ignite and flicker into existence that weren't there before. The wooden floor around you, cannons begin to manifest and appear as if grown out of the sand, as this ship, for all intents and purposes, comes to life. There is a small bell that begins to sound on the deck of the ship. It appears to be an alarm bell. Heroes, what would you like to do?
Go take
Go
a
to
bell.
the top deck.
Yeah, go to the bell.
Yeah.
The six of you scramble to the top, or does anyone stay down below?
I'm hanging back a
Okay.
little bit.
Eris, you stay below.
Because I found the flag.
You did.
I would like to investigate it a little bit more to, if I can tell if I know who owned the ship. Or
Sure. Eris, give me an investigation check as the five of you run up topside. Give me perception checks as the sun is beginning to set. We're actually at the golden hour. It's that beautiful golden haze that is peeking through. This would be so Graham-worthy if you guys had cameras with you. But instead, you are all sort of surveying and trying to figure out what the sound of the alarm is. Perception checks. 9. Clipsies all. 15.
10.
10.
2 plus something.
2 plus something. Nothing. My 15. Hi, welcome to the party. It's great to have you. Everyone's sort of scanning the horizon, and you go, oh man, I've always wanted to do this. You climb up the mast a little bit and hang off the rope and sort of lean out a little bit, and you just like the wind blowing your hair back, and then you realize you don't have hair.
You are a skeleton.
You look off into the distance, and sure enough, Tony and Vinny are on the horizon. And not only are they coming forward, but behind them comes what looks to be a group of about 10 or 15. Individuals all walking behind them, some of them singing, carrying torchlights already, even though it is not dark enough to need them, and they're making their way towards the beach. It's a loud enough noise. They're not trying to be stealthy. Mm-hmm. You realize that you have about 5 minutes before they hit where the boat was.
Okay.
There is you don't know if they've seen the changes that have occurred.
Okay. He's gonna come down from the mast and get everyone on the top deck. The crew we hired is coming.
All right. Well, let's go get our crew then, right? Yes.
Do you want any more moments alone on the ship to enjoy it?
Do we want these people coming on the ship knowing what's happened to it?
What?
Do we need a crew?
That's my question.
Do we all know how to use a ship?
Well, these guys are kind of in charge of the ship, and they can make the ship move.
Are they steering
So
it?
I think it's a matter of whether or not the crew wants to stay on, knowing that this is how the ship behaves. We can't just lock it away. We saw what happened before.
I say the more the merrier.
We can communicate. Yeah, we can. I can.
What's your
communicate
thoughts?
with these guys. So.
Yeah. Any of you who can speak Sylvan, you've got about a minute or two left on your thing. But as you were beginning to sort of look about the space and kind of been sad, you feel a strong clamp on your shoulder as that large metal-looking elemental, who's about your height, comes over and just sort of like puts a hand on your shoulder and rests it there. And finally, you found something that you can hug. That's a little at the same level. That's not going to break.
Yeah.
So.
Amazing.
I'm gonna look at one of the elementals and say, "Do we need a crew, or can you guys?"
Which one?
The fruit. Soup.
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 The fruit pooping elemental.
Yes.
Soup the fruit pooper. Soup the fruit pooper sort of climbs up to your shoulder, and as he does, Soup has a really interesting aesthetic to him, as he looks like one of those paintings where he's just kind of made up of all sorts of different fruit, and as he comes forward, his throat does that frog thing, but as it does, it's like a little like tomato, like that kind of comes out like this and stuff like that. Fruit looks at you. What was your question?
Do we need a crew to steer the ship, or can you guys do it?
Ship. Steer. Ship.
You steer a ship? They steer a ship? Yes?
Fruit looks to you like this and cocks his head and no, not Siri. Fruit cocks his head confused, and as he does, a blueberry falls out and he goes, ship, steer, ship.
Yes. Yes, steer a ship? No.
He grabs your cheeks like this and squishes it together, and he takes that blueberry that fell out and shoves it in your mouth. Ship, steer, ship.
Yes.
What you got going on?
I think they can steer the ship. I don't think we need a crew.
And he nods his head, and as he does, he poops a strawberry.
Anybody?
It's a berry, I would eat it.
Slowpoke, how do you feel about this?
Came from.
About which part?
About them steering the ship.
Fine.
Is he out of his depth here? Is he where's his emotional head at?
I mean, it's strange. It's strange to have all these things running about, knocking blueberries out of their face and whatever. And like
to instinctively trust them with your life, essentially. Like if you were to go out on the water, I think it's okay to be mature about this.
Yeah.
And
I don't even think it's his mature side talking. I think it might be like some of his old self. Like he wasn't like friends with like the weird things in Neverland.
No.
So he was.
In fact, you were the antithesis to that.
Yeah, I was. Like, Slowpoke hunted the weird things.
So is there a visible uncomfortableness?
Yeah.
If there is, Cal's gonna probably walk over and be like, because I guess Cal's Slowpoke's one of the few people that Cal can talk to, almost kind of adultish. What you thinking about, buddy?
I just don't know. I mean, clearly they're here to help, so they save. And if that's the case, then I don't see why we can't have that be what we have occur.
No, can't say it's the weirdest thing we've seen.
Right, yes.
I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is probably a 4 or 5, maybe?
It's a bit strange to have something so to go out into open waters with something so unstable.
You're going out on open water with me, then.
Anchor will break away from you and stand in front of you. And Anchor will speak common. Uncomfortable. Truth.
The truth, yes, I'm not the most comfortable with the whole everything. It's not you per se or anyone in particular. It's I'm not quite sure what it is actually. It's a feeling.
Little doubt.
I have.
Little doubt. Good.
Yes.
Keep you safe.
I suppose so. Yes.
As he turns back to look, all of the things that are sort of buzzing about the space stop, and Anchor walks up behind Slowpoke and announces in Sylvan, doubt, and points to Slowpoke. And they all nod their head. Anchor will walk up the deck of the ship as this group gets a little closer and head to the large quarters that you two explored. And as he does, he will reach where the bed is, and his dexterity is for shit. And, hi, it's okay. Come here. Climb up. And he will reach and pick up the bed one-handed, which seems to be bolted to the wall, and grab something and come out. And it looks to be a tricorn hat. And he will come over and shove hat. Doubt good.
Thank you.
You want me to have a hat?
Captain.
He's
making you the captain.
I seem to picked up on that. Yes. Are we sure we should have a vote? I believe piracy is all not. I mean, the
I'm
seas.
not arguing
All
with
in
the metal.
favor? And I raise my hand.
I'm not arguing with the metal.
And I look over.
She's not up there. She's not up there. She's sort of examining the flag. But all the elementals up topside, like put a hand up, and the other one like poops, another blueberry. Let's head back downstairs. As there's, I think there should be a vote or something. You notice, and it gets very quiet. What was your investigation check?
15.
Okay, 15. Somebody previously examined this flag. And I don't remember who it was and whether that was you.
It was me.
You were able to determine the symbol of what it was of this compass. Would she recognize what the compass was last associated with, that group?
Well, because if she has Nell's memories, then she would recognize it.
Okay, what does she remember it to be?
That it was striking.
Okay.
And she was slightly mesmerized by it.
Yeah. She remembers.
But she doesn't know why.
She remembers seeing this compass symbol and being with the group and meeting this woman. And this woman was kind of rude to her and rude to the group. And she asked you guys to go explore the area. Do you remember her name?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Okay. That's good.
I have it written, but.
Okay. So when you.
Oh, director.
Okay.
I'm director, yeah.
It's the weirdest thing. You're able to track the thoughts, right? You're able to track the thoughts from like, this is the flag. I didn't like her. I didn't like the way she treated the kids. I remember talking to the changeling. I remember that changing. Oh, I remember her name. Her name was.
Okay.
Sick reference, bro.
Okay.
What was her name? God, she pissed me off. I know her name. Her name was. It's like this weird static. It's like everything goes gray. It's like everything goes like dark. And anytime you think about her, she floats off into the distance.
Yeah. Okay.
The flag, you know exactly where it goes.
Right.
You know who it's associated with. You remember everything about it. But the more you direct your memories to this particular moment, to this one, like part, it just gets hazy.
Okay.
Okay. There is a quiet up top.
Yeah, I would recognize him.
You taking the flag with you?
I would pocket it.
Okay. You fold it up. You get up top right as this thing is handing off the hat to Slowpoke.
Okay.
And saying doubt. And Slowpoke going, well, I think we should all take a vote. And Desbahai takes charge and goes, all in favor. And you see as the elementals begin to just sort of like throw their hands up, and Anchor does not put a hand up. He just like looks about the group as Desbahai is called for a vote.
And everyone else is.
Everybody else is voting except for the large metal thing behind him holding the hat.
I say absolutely and raise my hand.
Okay. The minute she raises her hand, he looks at you.
I take slower poke, pick him up a little bit, and hold him, and say, well, if we all believe it's for the best, then I suppose I have to accept.
No. Accept.
I do. Accept.
The hat is placed upon your head.
And Slowpoke is placed upon
the hat.
We should celebrate. Blueberry?
Thank you.
I like take a knee in respect. Like bow the head.
Oh, there's really no need for any of that. Please stop.
While you were aboard the deck of the ship, you have no elemental that specifically responds to you. You have no way of communicating. However, the ship responds to your thoughts. You realize that it's gotten down to this, okay? Standing upon the deck of the ship, it's this. Hand out, the ship responds, and it's this, slow down, speed up, fire cannons. So ready? So you ready?
He's
this,
this. Can you
this,
tell?
slow down, speed up, fire the cannons.
He has the force.
Slow down. Speed up.
Speed up, fire the cannons. the ship responds to the captain. Okay?
Right, yes.
All right. Just about that time where the captain's hat is placed upon his head, you hear a call from the beach as Tony and Vinny have made their way forward. God, what would you hear? You would hear, whoa, 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 whoa. When you guys said you were going to make some, like, repairs and stuff like that, we didn't expect this. Yeah, we didn't expect this at all. We thought, like, little, like, spit and elbow grease, but this is amazing. And it was like, there's a group of men, all of sort of different makes and models. You see some tieflings, you see some dwarves, you see a bunch, all of them sort of carrying supplies and things of that sort. As they come up, the elementals disperse, heading below deck. Anchor lays down on the deck so as to, like, they would have to climb aboard the ship. And, like, he lays down on the deck, like, face down. The other elementals begin to disperse and head below deck, head to the little room as the sun begins to set.
I never understood.
Instead of sticking around the group as we all meet the crew, I'm gonna kind of explore the top deck because I haven't been there yet.
Sure.
And
I need to know what everybody's doing then. Are we heading off the ship? Because right now the ship is grounded, but tide's coming in.
Is the ship within talking distance with Vinny?
You see a random centaur. You do, T.E. Graves. Is the ship what?
Can we talk to them from where we are?
You could. You could very easily just walk over to the... there's no ladder or anything of that sort. You could just... Hi, guys. How's it going? Like, and just sort of, like, lean your head over and begin to speak to them.
I'm gonna stand right to his right with my battle axe like this, just like chilling out.
Yeah, just hand up. Are you purposely being threatening?
Not threatening, but like
nonchalant.
This is Clip's version of casual.
I want them to know that if something went wrong, I would destroy them.
Fly casual.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. Where is everyone else standing as this group makes their way forward?
So are they boarding the ship?
They are not boarding currently. They're excited. Tony and Vinny are just like there with arms outstretched, and the rest of this group is examining the ship.
Are the elementals leaving because they are coming closer to the ship?
Insight
or is it
check.
Because
that's my question too. Can I?
well, that's a
Wait.
Both of you can.
Are you wearing?
It's not that hard of a DC. Something about the group is
17 on dice.
Something about this group has freaked them out.
He's gonna go below deck then, toward where the cannons.
Okay, where the cannons are.
So Anchor's still on deck.
Anchor's laying down as flat as big as his frame will allow, sort of laying down face down on the deck.
I'm gonna go next to Slowpoke and just put a hand on his back.
Okay.
I'm sneaking into the place that I saw Anchor take the hat from.
Okay, give me a stealth check as Des.
Not sneaking, but like just going in, you know?
You're walking casual.
I'm walking
There's a lot
casual.
of that going
Yeah.
on. So yeah,
Give you a
you're just sort of like
casual check.
walking around. You're like, oh hey, what is this? And I'm like, yeah, you make your way into this small space. This room appears completely different than the room that the other two started to examine. This room is lush. I mean, it is lush. There is this 4-poster bed in the middle of the space. On the opposite wall, there's a bookcase with a bunch of different tomes on it. There's a desk that you could lay a map out. There should be ink and quill and things of that sort, and different accoutrements scattered about the ship, including a sextant, different navigation tools. This room seems fully stocked.
Okay, I'm looking for any sort of the elementals that might have possibly run in here.
Investigation check. Thistle, what are you doing?
Well, I'm talking to Soup, and I'm collecting.
Fruit?
Uh-huh.
There is a plethora as you head below deck as well, because Soup does not want to be above deck.
Okay.
Soup heads
That's
down
okay.
below deck, and you just see a bunch of them.
I'm gonna
Like,
look for a
as
basket.
many of them are filtered in the little corner. Like, it's an awkward side. It would be like if 18 kids are trying to hide in a small space in like one of the little like closet areas.
Where did
try and
Anchor
calm him
go?
down too, because I
He's
can
still
fix
on top
something.
Yeah.
But he's face down.
He's face down.
He's face down on the deck. You're standing next to Slowpoke.
I'm
What-
gonna try to calm him down too, because I can speak Sylvan.
What do you say?
I'm like, well, no, I'm gonna ask him. I'm gonna be like, why are you guys scared?
Not all people family.
I get that.
Locked. Locked.
Oh, they locked you away.
Locked.
I think we should go to the water soon.
Yes. Water.
Okay. I'm gonna go talk to everybody. Be calm.
Persuasion check.
6 plus. I'm rolling so well. 3, 9.
Soup seems chill, and some of the other ones are starting to ease up a little bit and move about to assume their stations as Cal's kind of looking about too, and as she makes a nod, the ones manning the cannons, some of the fire elementals and a couple of the other gunpowders begin to make their way about the space. So let's head back up deck as Tony and Vinny go. Yeah. So what? Here's your crew. I mean, you guys. Should we come up? Like, do you guys got a ladder or nothing?
I tap Slowpoke.
Yes.
We don't need to let them up.
I also message once I get to the cannon. Use message on Slowpoke. Be like, I'm down here if things get hairy.
Yeah, you get a tap and then you get a nod and then you clip who's just like, I like things. Like she's just standing outside you.
And I message back like, well, I doubt the crew we paid for would attack us, but thank you.
The elementals are scared for a reason.
So what's the deal?
Well, we seem to have everything under control, actually. The services will no longer be required. You can keep your wages as such, and we'll be on our way. Thank you. We're all fine here. Thank you.
How are you?
No, I'm sorry. These guys, no, we told them that they would have a ship, and like we promised them a ship and things of that sort. So we'd really love to just come and explore. And
well, yes, well, we would have, but we
Is anyone in that group being like real dodgy, like looking like they like?
There are whispers starting to go about the space as the tone has shifted.
Well, I don't see a reason if we have all we need. You've received your payments.
Let me get this straight.
Yeah.
You hired this group with the promise of adventure and gold and things of that sort, and there is a fully furnished ship in front of you with no crew.
Which you did nothing to help with, but we've got it under control.
Well, I mean, they did try to get us a crew. That they did help in that regard.
How do you plan on getting this ship into the water?
We have it. Thank you.
No, we're all fine here. That doesn't need to be a problem.
No problem.
Yeah.
But I think a little bit of gold for emotional damages would be.
How about the 20 for a few months' wages and just give yourself it quicker?
I feel like 40 is fair for emotional damages to the group and like.
Where in the water are we?
The water is starting to slowly creep up. I would say a third of the ship is starting to, like, little bits of water are licking at the front of the ship.
So, okay.
Yeah.
With
boat, shore, open sea. Yes, well, we appreciate the offer, and
we appreciate the offer, and all of the sudden, everybody goes, whoa! Everybody give me dexterity checks, except for Slowpoke, as we are in it. As Dez, you are beginning to like explore around, and you're like looking for any of the elementals that ran into this space, and as you do, you see one that's sort of in the drawer of the desk. You pull it out, and this little thing like crawls up onto your shoulder. What does it look like?
You have a picture of it on your Facebook Messenger if you want to take a peek.
I do want to take a peek. Thank you so much.
Yeah, nice. I can describe it too.
Describe it to the stream goers.
It is a little, think capuchin-sized monkey creature. This creature has abdomen and back legs and a tail that are almost made of this dripping tar-like bubbling substance. Yeah. And then the front half of it is made up of two different things. A cloud of like green wispy smoke that kind of looks like fur coming off of it, and the skull and arms forming a crossbones style warning
Can
of
I-
a monkey. Yes, you can show that.
Can I post this on the Discord?
Yes, you can.
I cannot believe you just sketched this up.
In like 15 minutes.
Uh,
Here, pass it around.
post-
Take one down, pass it
Oh, you
around.
drew it
Lightning
on
on
No, it's
it.
posted in the Discord in the Habitat too, if you want to take a look. But there is this little monkey that hops onto your shoulder as it sort of like gravitates onto you. I think your connection with death and life and like you see the beauty in this in this thing. And
Des, this is like, oh my god.
the tail, I'm only going to make one amendment to
Yeah.
it. Is the tail is a little beaker. So
Okay.
the tail, even though it is like a little wisp, at one point it flicks the tail over, and as it does, the beaker falls into your hand.
Okay.
It takes 7 days for a new beaker to grow from that tail, but for right now you have a
Could it
small...
be like, I'm gonna just pull it up. Could it be like in the crook of the
That's
tail?
what I'm...
even?
Yeah, the vial is
Yeah,
right
okay.
there. Everybody give me dexterity saving throws, please, as the ship goes, whoom, like hard turn very quickly.
23.
Hard 20, 23,
13.
13.
I got a 6. 16.
16. Everybody's like, yeah! And Eris is like, are we murdered? Eris falls to the ground. You manage to stay upright. Not only do you manage to stay upright, but you have a laundry basket. I think as you were just like, it's okay, it's okay. Cut to this scene of below deck. Thistle has gotten a large tub, and this thing is pooping like it's just a Taco Bell. Like it's this thing is filled with all sorts of different fruits and things of that sort, and it's just happy to be next to you. The ship takes a hard bank to the left. I need everybody to go ahead and roll initiative for me as we start getting into the odd combat that is going to take us into this battle. You get to roll initiative at advantage,
Thank
please.
God, because that was a 1.
Okay.
Oh no! Ooh, look at you.
I had to switch dice.
That's a great idea. You know, you're going to bed tonight.
Because these are garbage.
Oh, I stole your D4. There you go.
Sorry.
How dare!
Are you using a D4 for initiative?
20 to 25. What you got, Eris?
20.
20. That dexterity failed saving throw does not allow you to take. It doesn't take. You don't take any damage, but you do fall prone to the ground. So if you're going to move, it's going to take half your movement to get back up off the ground as you fall up. So that was 20 to 15.
18.
Okay.
16.
18 and 16. Clip and slow poke. Right now, you guys are going to get a surprise round, as they did not see that coming, and neither did your DM. 15 to 10.
12.
12. 10 to...
8. Cool.
Thistle and Dez. The ship banks hard to the left, and as it does, I will say that you are close enough that it scrapes against the rocks a little bit, but it's just enough that everybody jumps backwards, that it's sort of gathered around it, and you find yourselves moving towards the water. It's not fully in the water yet, but it's a good portion of it is because it's still a large ship. So you're in the water at that moment. Everybody's going to get a surprise round now. I'm going to say this. The ship is big. It's not that big. It is going to take you 20 feet of movement to climb up those stairs for future reference. If you are below deck and you're like, I want to run up topside, it'll take 20 feet of movement. And that's being very generous, okay, based on where you are. So anytime you want to move from up top to below deck, 20 feet of movement, okay? Once I'm commissioning a ship layout, that we will have a full ship layout with squares. So if you haven't gotten a figure or found a Disney figure that fits you, it might be time to start looking into that, not for next week, but the week after, okay? Make sense? Okay, got it. Eris, you are up first. I believe you're still topside. You were right next to Captain Slowpoke.
Yeah, but I'm on the floor.
Yeah.
So are they... Well, I'm gonna hold action.
It is shock and awe. What are you holding for?
Fairy fire, my
You're,
last one.
you're holding that fairy fire for like a group of them if they
Yes.
charge the ship.
Yes, I
Okay,
am.
Clip.
Ooh.
I'm gonna fully pull out my battle
We
axe
can double up on that too.
and let out this like feral growl.
Okay.
It's like a stay away growl.
Okay.
And I'm gonna hold an action if someone comes toward me.
Yeah, dude, give me an intimidation check. Give me your strength with this and your proficiency. So add your strength plus 2, 3.
So, wait, what am I adding? My
Strength.
19.
19. There is this growl that echoes out throughout the entire ship, and the wood even begins to shake a little bit. Some of the people on the deck or below that are sort of were advancing take a step backward, but more importantly, it's just enough to shake out whatever fear Anchor had as he looks over at you and he's like, oh, okay, Mom. Mom's pissed, I can be pissed. And like Anchor stands up and also issues out a like as he does, and it's this she's turning one way, he's looking the other, back to back, both of them just sort of screaming out into the ether. Slowpoke, what are you doing?
Not a bad word, so I can say a bad word.
I keep on course.
You're drifting it off
But I
this
also
way?
I
lean
stepped
over.
in front of him, sorry. Stepped in front of Slowpoke.
Okay, to block anything that was coming at him. Yeah, okay.
But I also like lean past and go, now don't do anything rash, I do have a ship.
And I'm not afraid to use it.
And I'm gonna hold action on.
Are we increasing speed here?
Yeah.
Like, is it? So we're not staying here. We're just going like.
We're just trying to leave.
Okay.
We're not on boats.
So this is a turning and then a. Like as you shove your hand outward, that's the cue. There's a. As below deck, this little air elemental that's that's floating around Eris, that's in her hair, pops out, and as it does, it like looks up at the top and like doesn't know what to do. And so, who's wearing what clothing? What clothing are you wearing?
Robes.
Robes.
Like a black.
What are you wearing?
Pirate garb, just
Oh, perfect. He runs over to where Cal is and rips his shirt off. And so you just see it and like runs up top and like you see a flag just starting to wave. It's this air elemental as a flag goes off. And not only that, but the larger air elemental down pushes against has to. Pushing against, and you see the ship like struggling against the rocks and carving this divot into the sand as water is starting to lap up against it, and you're getting closer and closer to the water as he holds out his hand, and you feel
not closed.
Not closed. You feel your arm getting wet. As not only are you in control of the ship, but you are, for all intents and purposes, linked to the ship. So as this, you feel the grit of sand,
So
like
cool. Part of the ship, part of the crew.
part of the ship,
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
like digging against your hand, and it feels great. You harken back to your time spent in that museum, looking at those ships and daydreaming of a time where, and your hand is shoved forward. Good move, Slowpoke. Cal.
I'm gonna message back to Slowpoke.
Yeah.
Cannons?
Question mark? You can't respond until your turn. But Cal, how about this? You start preparing the cannons as best as you're able.
Yeah.
Give me a persuasion check. Do you rally the crew at all?
Oh goodness, yeah. The gunpowder and the fire elementals, like.
You do not have any cannons. Unfortunately, you have gunpowder, you have fire. Cannons is one of those like like no one wants to be fired to be like, bye Richard, like bye buddy, hope you find your dad. Like it's just like so you need stuff.
I had the best and worst idea.
Thistle, because your turns are so close. Oh my god, is that what do you do with your turn?
I'm looking at all the elementals around me.
Okay.
And holding my big basket of fruit.
Okay.
And I'm saying,
same thing I'm thinking.
game, throw,
okay,
attack.
Yeah.
And I'm running up the stairs.
Persuasion check at advantage. Both of you. As Cal's like, I can get behind this.
Persuasion at
Okay, 14 plus 3, 17.
Yeah, hers is better than mine.
They're frightened. They don't want to get locked up again, as no one would, because it's been a long, long time since they were gone. Before the sickness, before all of it, like they have been gone. And as you hold out this basket of fruit, and you're like, game, fruit, throw. I think they all look at each other. Like no one wants to be the one to make the first move. And Soup, like, scoots forward. Gets a strawberry, and he goes, game, fruit, throw. And, like, turns and looks up the stairs and begins to, like, march up the stairs. And as he does, they all go, like, okay. Each one of them grabs fruit and starts making their way up to the top of the deck. We will resolve that in a second.
Yes.
I'm going to circumnavigate this whole battle.
You're welcome!
Dead.
I'm passing out parchment as they go by to the fire in the
Great
garden.
job, great job. You got
Go,
this. Great
go,
job.
go.
Good job, team. You're smacking them on the butt.
Yeah, athletic butt slaps. We're good.
Des, you're up topside. You're in that room. The ship just lurched violently to one side.
Okay, me and Poison Monkey responded to this, right?
What is the poison monkey's name?
I'm getting back to you with the Poison Monkey's name
Okay.
in just a few minutes.
Okay. Right now, Popo is like scooting up against your
Pomo.
shoulder. Pomo. Yes. Okay.
Pomo.
Pomo.
That is the name.
Pomo is sort of huddled against you. As a poison one, he's a little timid, but because he's used to operating in the shadows.
Yeah,
But he's looking for body heat. He actually does the thing where he like. I think anybody else would be terrified that the little poisonous monkey is crawling against their skin, but he wants skin contact and just sort of like sticks a head out from like
And it goes
into the hair a little bit and like grabs on and stuff like that. So.
Okay,
the monkey's baby.
I get up. I'm not like rushing or anything because I figured we might as well get to the water.
Mm-hmm.
I get up and I just open the door to visibly like see what's going on at the deck. I'm screaming.
As you open the door,
yeah.
The image that greets you is
Okay,
as
thank you.
follows. Clip is standing back to back with a very large being that is screaming at this group of people. Slowpoke is on the deck of the ship with his arms outstretched, and water is pouring off of his hand, is like dripping off of his hand, as you see the ship sort of rising up to meet his outstretched hand. As that happens, Eris is also there with this like sort of being. She's like looking up and pointing at this little being that's pushing against the flag and pushing against the sail. And just as you're like, well, this can't get any weirder, Thistle comes running up with this and hucks a watermelon off of the deck of this thing and like just full on. And as she does, the ship's deck is lined with creatures that were once terrified of these beings that are just like. And just like chucking strawberries and grapes and like kiwi at all of them against this group of pirates, which is awestruck at what is actually happening around them.
They got this. I just go back in and I
Classic death.
I imagine that there's like a nod.
That sounds about right.
I think there's even a like Pomo like looks up at you and you like look down and he like nods back towards him and you're like you go back in. I need the two of you because it's more fun this way as you have I've done this. If everybody on the ship wants to give me 4 d20s. So this is 2 attack rolls at advantage to represent the elementals attacking. So give me an attack roll at advantage and then another attack roll at advantage. Okay?
Not you.
Oh, so, okay. 2 and 2. Oh.
Since I did not imagine fruit damage.
I did not imagine fruit damage.
I rolled a 14 and a 14.
Okay.
What's up?
And what modifiers do we add for fruit damage?
I will say elementals have a dexterity add a +3 to every one of these
I'm
attacks.
not participating in the
You're
throwing.
no. This is just you as a representing the elementals.
Okay.
So let's start with you, Audie. What is your
22
22
and 22.
and 22? Great.
Good job, Anchor.
Cliff.
Yes.
That was Clip. Cal.
One was a 17 and the other one's a 14.
17 and a 14.
17, 15.
17, 15.
Fruit damage.
20 not nat and 16.
20 not nat, 16.
Yes.
20 and 13.
20 and 13.
These elementals are better than us.
15 and 19.
Of course, she'd be rolling hot. 15 and 19.
Someone got clumped with a watermelon
like
and
to
got knocked
point
out.
out
We will great for not us.
that your fruit monkey pooped out a watermelon. So that's for everybody to think on.
Let's all meditate on this for a little
waiting.
bit.
Well, for anyone who's had children,
Oh no! I have to go. It's been a great game.
This might be the most number of dice I've ever rolled.
Wow.
I like to
Breaking
think,
records.
I like
How
to
many
think that-
dice are you at to roll?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
I like to think that Soup is sitting on the rail like machine gunning blueberries.
Yep, but not face forward.
The thing he's holding is like the tail.
Thistle's got. She's like, you want to play rough? Okay, I'll play rough.
Here's the tail.
I'm reloading.
He says it's a
Yeah,
so
that
does that
ASMR.
11, 4, 7.
you know, we've never had a poop fruit fight and wonder.
Well, here we are.
This is probably the most
Dude, this is our second
Neverland
food fight, y'all.
fight.
It's
Oh my
our
god.
second food fight. Oh my gosh. Seriously, our second
8,
food fight.
7. Jesus.
We have to do
I can't wait to come above Jack with no shirt.
Keep the theming.
Is this your
Keep
red?
the theming one
It's just
every
like
3
birdcage.
weeks. So good.
Say hello to my little. Oh my. No, that's impossible.
All my friends.
Did we kill everyone?
Shut up.
No, you
someone
didn't
with
kill
our
them,
fruit.
but I'm just double checking this. 14.
Doing that.
We didn't
damage
kill
did
him.
we
We
do?
just
11.
heard
They're all
him.
minions.
No way.
Oh, this is gonna be great.
Yeah, the math is right.
What's the fruit damage?
What's the fruit damage?
That's my favorite case.
Billy, can you paint us a picture, please?
Did we break a game?
How do we want to do this?
Scribe is using the tray that you made him because I never get rid of it. It's my baby now.
Stop avoiding the question. What's the fruit
Sing as
damage?
we sing.
This crew had prepared for many a contingency as they rushed forward in hopes to set sail today, perhaps even take over a ship and steal the money that you all had on your person. However, the crew has been emboldened, if you were, and as they work together to fight through this fear and the ship surges forth in the water, the crew below them takes 69 points. How in the world? As they are bombarded with all sorts of oranges and tangelos and limes, lemons, strawberries,
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons
fruit.
and Dragons, blueberries,
God, we're throwing
Dungeons and
dragon
Dragon fruit.
Dragon
There
fruit.
it is. And all manner of sorts, and so much so, I think that I have to play this through sheer shock alone. They all go back, but
Not before one of them died.
no, I'm gonna.
If they're moving out range for elementals, we get an
You
opportunity.
cure 6 of them of scurvy.
Guys, and that's
We've done
working.
We've done a good thing today, guys.
So six of them are just like, listen, I think I have a concussion, but I'm feeling so much better. I didn't want to say it before we started, but it's been a long time since I've seen any sort of fruit. This is probably the best thing for me. And the ship once again begins to travel out into the water, and you are seabound. With that, this crew has hit level 5. Congratulations. I can't not have you break my game so exquisitely. And Des, well, that was perfect. Walking out and just being like,
nope,
no.
I can't believe I leveled up.
Yep. Congratulations. You guys are all at level 5. For next game, I expect to see level ups. If you have any questions or stuff like that, we can approach the group. 12 for 10 cents. You just missed an epic fruit battle. Wolfgren. Yeah. So, crew, you are out on the ocean.
So we have an hour and a half, and Billy's like, I don't know what to do.
Well, this is all I had written. No, I did. I had, like, each of them had their own unique abilities. Like, last week, all of them had different races and classes.
Just a fast rundown.
Sure, yeah, okay. So there was a centaur who was the cook, and he had the ability to summon food and drink. Which is essentially what you guys did. You beat him, you beat him to the punch. Yeah.
Beat him to the fruit punch.
You beat him to the fruit punch. Yeah. And then, like, I had a warlock. Tony and Vinny were gonna do all of their attacks with one of them on one of the shoulders, so they were gonna be a giant size, like a large size and stuff like
Billy,
that.
you know what? Actually, let's stop because they're still alive. We might face them again.
Are they?
You could choose to do this.
I'm down for
Or
this.
you could just make your way into the wall.
No, I just mean in
I
general.
know, another day.
We may meet them again. Maybe we don't want to hear all their abilities.
Oh, thanks for giving him that idea.
We just made enemies today.
Oh, that's a great. Thank you, Garrison.
Vinny and
Take
Tony
DM
just
inspiration
Yay!
for creating your arch nemesis.
Vinny and Tony just replaced Hook as the big bad of this campaign.
2 gnomes in a trench coat just replaced. 2 halflings in a trench coat.
You know what?
Oh
I wouldn't want it any other way.
You're right.
I love you. Congratulations. Crew, you make your way out into open water. The scope of Neverland has never been more accessible to you. How we are going to handle a lot of this is we are not going to dive heavily into ship combat and things of that sort until next session, because I didn't plan for it. However, if you guys would like to explore the ship and the crew, I know a lot of you have not had a long rest. You are out in the open water. There are plenty of ships that travel these seas, including more and more every day. It might behoove you to get a flag rather than Cal's shirt. To modify cannons, if you would like, if the ship has a calling card of shooting fruit.
Is our mascot now?
The vitamin C, SEA. So it is completely up to you guys. The ship is yours for the evening. If you guys have plans, there are lots of different islands around the area that you can explore. If you would like to just explore one of the random islands or set sail for the evening, what would you like to do with your time?
Mine. Go ahead.
Yes.
Clip.
Would
You are
like,
Clip.
I would like to go to each person and bring them to the center of the ship. Every single person here.
Oh,
Sure.
yes.
Clip comes eventually and knocks on your door as you guys feel yourselves out in the water. And do you say anything, or you just say like meeting?
Meeting.
On the deck or below deck?
On the deck.
Yeah.
We're all
Meeting.
there.
Meeting. Clip is requesting a meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did everyone come?
Yes.
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
come. Cool. I don't know any of you. I know name. That's it.
Right. Yes. Well, we've been busy exploring.
Big mood, my girl. Because I don't know me neither.
Eric. If Eric is in and about the space, I know that he is here tonight. Eric, if you can hear me, bring me a deck of cards, please.
That's terrifying.
Can you bring me a deck of cards, please?
Where would one find a deck of cards?
Over in the D&D desk, like up top.
I retcon something just really fast.
Yeah.
Seriously. As we pulled out, I wanted to do a perception to see if the sharks are still chasing us.
Oh.
Perception check at disadvantage, unless because it is It is nightfall now.
Yeah.
It is dark up top
I
side.
meant to catch that before the nightfall, but it's fine.
Perception check.
Oh, it's not bad. Perception at disadvantage is a 16.
Okay. You do see faint shapes below the water.
Okay.
There are the same sharks that seem to be off the coast are beginning to swirl about the space.
Okay. Okay, that was concerning, but yeah, I'm not changing the scene. I just wanted to know that.
Yeah, Clip says she does not know anyone.
Like, yeah, it's just one fact, one thing.
Yes, of course. Of course, you know me as Slowpoke. My name outside of that is Adler.
Adler.
Yes. I didn't grow up around here. I didn't grow up around here for a very long time. Then I left and grew up, and then came back to not growing up.
Okay.
There is a way to do this, if you would like. This is team building. If you will allow me, we draw a card at random. I'll let you pass the deck around. We're going to call this story time. We're going to get to know the crew a little bit. You're going to draw a card. You can draw it completely at random. Out on club, you're just going to tell a story of something that happened to your character that involved a victory. Okay? It can be anything you want, as big or as small as you want. A victory that happened. A spade, you're going to talk about a defeat. Okay? Some sort of defeat that happened in your life.
This is awesome.
A heart, you're going to tell a story of something that happened to your character a long time ago, about something you love or someone you loved. And on a diamond, you're going to tell about something that you want. Okay?
Okay.
Draw a card at random.
I'm here for this. This is great.
If you don't mind handing that to
Clip realized she literally
Clip.
doesn't know anything about anyone. She was like,
So Clip, draw a card at random for me.
just spade.
So Clip, as you were the one who sort of brings everybody together, and you're saying I don't really know anybody, you feel emboldened to tell a story of yourself. Tell us a story about Clip, something that happened to her that was a time of a defeat for her.
A defeat.
It can be emotional, physical.
I'm gonna speak as a normal person and not as Clip voice, because you can have like. So Clip would tell a story about. I guess it's kind of a defeat about when she first came to Neverland. She would tell you how she was put in with the Neverboys, and because she was a little bit too rough and tumble, they didn't really want her. And how then she got put in with the Lost Boys, but because she was a girl, they didn't really want her either. So it was kind of because of that, she never got a fairy. And she kind of was like wandering around for a really long time. That was a really big, even as a child, it was a super sad, low part of her life. And that was a major, like, she thought she never belonged anywhere. And then a wolf found her and grabbed her by her thing and took her to a den. And that's where she grew up with the wolves, and that's her with her family. And that's the story she would tell you in her as few words as she could.
As you finished, Anchor would come up behind you and put a hand on your shoulder and say, "Fairy."
She would hug him real hard.
Anchor, buddy.
So it's defeat, victory,
Club
want,
is
and
victory, spade is defeat, heart is love, and diamond is something that you desperately want or wanted. Who would like to go next?
I'll go next. Sure. Oh, I got another spade. Spade number 2. It's kind of hard because this one's a defeat one, right? Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to say. You guys really, other than the little tidbits that I know, that have come back to me, I don't know much. I know that somehow I turned this way. So I assumed I died at some point, which I assume would be a pretty gnarly kick in the pants. But I guess it's not so bad because I came back, got another lease. It's, as far as like a defeat goes, all I can remember is...
Has he shared his interactions with the woman in the coin?
No, he hasn't. Well, I guess he would have in the dungeon because he put the coin against the
So do
pillar.
it now. What did that mean to you?
Someone's looking out for me. And he'll pull out the little coin. He goes, in the dungeon, I was given this. You guys might have seen it a couple times. I was in the dungeon. I was pulled into another space, another reality, and I sat across a table from a woman who kept flicking cards, kept playing, almost like that was where I got all my luck from. And I think she has a hand in why I'm here, or why I'm this way. So when I tell you guys I don't know much about my past, I really don't. I'll tell you guys what I know, and then I'll share a couple. I'll share a couple of memories, like the one where he was held up against the wall by the guy in the pirate glasses. Like, I know I was a pirate in the past life, but that, as far as who on what ship and everything, I have no idea. But
I think all the elementals kind of instinctively take a step backwards from you.
Yeah.
When they do, your gunpowder buddy looks at them and like puts a hand up, and like as a statement comes over and stands right next to you, and like crawls up your shoulder, and
give
just
a little bit of parchment. Thanks, buddy.
like looks back at the other ones like.
I got a diamond.
Ooh.
I would love nothing more than to tell you something about me. But I can't. I can tell you every memory in the book about Nell, because that was my life. But now that's not who I am. To go from having full purpose to not knowing who you are or what you should do in this life is overwhelming. And every day, constantly, I'm trying to figure out who I am and what my purpose is.
I can get behind that.
I've always wanted, more than anything, to belong. Which is why, when in my life as a pixie, I forgot about who I was. Because I felt like I had a purpose to help the Lost Boys as much as possible. And that one in particular. I want nothing more to know who I am. And it's not coming back. All I know is, and I take out the flag, is whoever had this ship is not going to be our friends. And I lay it out.
Everyone recognizes the flag. Yeah.
I'm gonna take my fur, my like little fur coat that I keep on, and wrap it around her.
Yeah. It takes you a second, like, but everybody's looking at you with awe in their eyes. Like the story was emotional and powerful, but you're not sure what was happening, and then your eyes drift up, and it looks like your buddy was blowing your hair back to add dramatic effect to the whole story, and so like a part of you doesn't know whether to smile or just be like, nice, as your hair was just doing the.
That's performance at advantage.
And you just feel like a slight, like, through the hair again, up top.
Yeah. I know how that feels.
Who would like to go next?
pulled a heart.
Something that Thistle loves.
So for as long as I can remember, Never Boys and Lost Boys have been enemies. We fought each other. We played games, but the games were all battle games. We were never friends. One day I was out walking, and I fell off like the edge of a cliff, down a waterfall. It was before I knew how to heal, and I was stuck. And I couldn't do anything about it. And one of them found me. His name was Jack. He helped me. He helped me get up out of the waterfall, and he helped me get back home. And it took a long time. It was most of the day before I got back. And we became friends. The problem was I couldn't tell any of the other Never Boys about him because we're not friends. We fight. That's what we do. But once in a while, I would sneak off and we would meet and we would talk and we would play and we would talk about the stupid things that other people were saying. And we'd sneak back and neither of us told. And then one day he never came back. And I don't know what happened to him. And I couldn't really ask anyone. And it's been a long time. And we kind of lose time here in Neverland, and sometimes 5 weeks can feel like 2 years, and sometimes 3 years can feel like 6 weeks, and so I don't know how long it's been, but I know it was long before the sickness. But I kind of wonder what happened to him.
Would you like to know?
Yeah.
There was a group of us, Lost Boys, specialized in fighting the more monstery side of the island. Of course, we all fought pirates, we all fought the weird, strange occurrences here, but the monsters, they were for a select group of us. One day, it was myself, Jack, and Toodles. And I never got along well with most of the Lost Boys. I mean, got along fine, of course. We were all part of the same family, but Jack, Toodles, and myself, they were my closest friends. And one day, we were off to fight some wolf creatures, some sort of I suppose in my world we'd call them werewolves. I don't remember if we had a name for them here. We didn't like them. We knew we didn't like them. And we, as happens in Neverland, you can never predict when the full moon will happen. And the three of us went in to stop them. They were terrorizing us, you, the natives, everyone. And we grabbed the wrong arrowheads. Just our regular arrowheads, not the silver-tipped ones, and so we were not in a good spot. Jack stayed in the cave to hold them off while the Toodles and I made it out, but I don't believe Jack made it. We never went back in. Of course we came back the next evening, but the space had already been cleared out. But if that answers anything for you, that's...
He died with honor.
Death comes to us all, you know. My name is Des Bahai. It means winter war. And I am older than you. And I'm older than you. And you. Very much older than you. And of course I'm older than you too. I've existed for a very long time. I've lived for longer than boats like these have even existed. Back in the days when we used to walk upon the water to get where we needed to go. We didn't float. We walked as if it was ground in order to find a home that nobody else had claimed yet. My group was the first ever to find this island. Untouched, clean, pure, and full of life and full of vibrance. And there are things that I discover here every single day that I wish I could have shown to the people who could not continue to walk as I did. I can still hear, however hundreds upon thousands of years it has been, I can still hear the laughter that could have created some of the fairies that lived here. From my own blood, I can still hear it. And to know that it would go cold, she would have loved it here. She would have loved the sun, loved to play like you do, laugh like you do, explore like you all. But death comes to us all, yes? Death comes to us all, and so as we are born from energy, that energy rejoins itself in the proper way. In my culture, if we lose something, we pray upon it. We ask that spirit can go easy. This is what I do for every living thing that I come across. Anything I hunt or kill, anything. But she was just left in the cold. Nothing to rejoin there. See. No seeing that again. Have I said too much?
The elementals around the area are all sort of gathered and sitting and have congregated, even those that blow the sails. I think the smallest of the crew, Soup, will hold a hand up to yours. And as he does, he will whistle, and just a really tiny seed will come out of his mouth as he whistles. And he will motion for you to put your hand on Thistle. And then other elementals will come and start to fill in the little cracks and things of that sort. Anchor holds a hand up to you and gathers everyone who will to put a hand forward on the pile. Even you, Des, as your elemental finally pokes his head out, you see them for the
They all
first...
just see the skull.
Yeah, see for the first time this little thing put its hand...
It's not unusual.
Anchor will walk forward last and say, "Gift," and reach for your hand. And as he does, he will take your hand and pull it, shifting it to place it on the group of hands of the rest of the ship. As it does, the ship begins to turn, and there is a as all of the candles in the ship go out, shutting off all the lights. And there is a quiet moment as the ship cuts through the night sky. The only sound, the rushing of water, is everyone's hands are connected. Elemental's ship, all Slowpoke's hands steering the ship forward with the group. And with every slight nudge from one of them, it drifts to the side and it begins to flow until the hands are abruptly taken back. And the elementals sit and they look at you and they look at all of you and say, "Gift," and point
towards the bow of the ship.
I walk forward.
Same.
It's hard. If there were any lights on the ship, you might have missed it. It's not ethereal shapes moving through the haze of the water. They're not swimming underneath it. They're not swimming through it. They're walking over it. And it's a chain that stretches out deep into the ocean. And they are in conversation. All ghostly shapes and forms. You see men and women, children being held and taken care of and walked across this expanse of the sea. And you don't know what it is. You don't know if this is echoes of a time long forgotten or the spirits of those first adventurers that step through. But Des, your breath catches in your lungs as you see, as it stretches out. The world is vastly bigger than when you first started. Having access to a ship allows you to see and experience that sort of thing, but everything becomes infinitesimally smaller as you are greeted to this site. The elementals stay where they were, in the circle, sort of resting, and sure enough, after a small bit of time, be it the moonlight or a cloud moving past the moon, the reflections on the water stop and that line dissipates as easily it could come. Someone could argue it away as a mirage. Tricking of the light against the water. Some could argue it as it was the last thing that Des talked about, so maybe you all saw this, but deep down you knew. This was the path. And that kind of energy, that kind of intent leaves a mark upon the world. And that's the gift they wanted to give to you. They have no stories of their own to tell you, no way to bear their souls to you, as they are merely reflections of the people that they travel with, but they could give you this. They could give you the better parts of yourselves and show you the quiet moments of the sea that are sometimes left unwatched. They give you time to process, to breathe, to process more. And then the candles are lit. They go about their business on the ship.
When the candles are lit, I'm going to walk over to Des. Can you teach me how to pray?
And, like, she smiles. We'll need something to pray for first. Come find me when we do.
Who's the last person to leave the deck of the ship?
Before, I'll be the second to last.
Okay.
I'm gonna put a hand on Slowpoke's back and say, I may not be certain of a lot of things right now about me, but the one thing I'm most certain about is that I still believe in you.
Thank you. Before everyone leaves, Gal's gonna just do one last, once over with everybody. I gotta say some apologies real fast before we go about our business. Clip, I'd like to start with you. I feel as though after the dungeon, after what happened in the dungeon, things have been kind of tense. And I'm sorry. What happened in the dungeon, it wasn't me. And I apologize for attacking you. I don't attack my friends. Des, I feel as me and you haven't there's been times that me and you haven't seen eye to eye, and it's gotten heated, and I'm sorry. I'm trying to sort out my own reality at this moment, and I've come across worse for wear sometimes. I'm sorry. I've shuddered saying my memories being a pirate on the ship for obvious reasons. Because they're not looked too good in favor. But I hope for everybody, me sitting in the middle of you and saying, as what I once was, that you'll take it as a good step from me. I'm sorry for what my past self or my past crew might have done. That's not me.
We appreciate who you are.
I want to find out what happened in that past. And I hope you guys can help.
Family is family.
We've all gone through things. We've all experienced a lot. More so than anyone else, I believe, ever has. Just given the amount of time we have to experience things has been far more than most are given. But through it all, I believe there's a reason we all found each other. There's a reason we're all here. And we can make up for everything. Or maybe not set things right from before, but we can make things right now. Save those who can't be saved themselves. Help those who need helping. Make sure no one else has to go through what we've had to go through.
You said it yourself. We lose track of time while we're here, eh? Seems like we have all the time in the world, I guess.
Well, let's use it wisely. Yes.
Right.
Let's all get a good night's rest.
Does you pull her aside to teach her how to pray?
We need something to pray for.
Sure.
You pray for a creature that's moving from one state to a next.
Cool.
We haven't encountered any dead.
That are so
dead
keep that in mind for the next time.
Definitely. Yeah.
People begin to move about. There are crew quarters downstairs. Thistle's probably going to be the most excited about it because other
yes, she is.
other than the captain's quarters, everybody's got bunk beds. So you can bunk up in groups of two, and somebody's going to get a solo space. Okay?
My mind the entire time is a little broken, but still good.
Captain, because you are the last one to leave the deck of the ship as people begin to move about the space, I think you are staring out above it and just instinctively have your hand up to feel it go. It is you who sees, I think hears more than sees, the sound of footsteps across the water. Little footsteps. Everyone is going to rest.
Yeah.
Mark down that long rest on your sheet.
Is there any way Cal can take like a bed sheet and make a hammock in where the gunpowder and the fire elementals are?
Actually, yeah, I don't think you need to do. We had talked about having like a little closet, like a little area, and I think that closet that was on the ship could work extremely well.
Yeah,
like,
I think if he wants, he likes this gunpowder elemental because he knows the past of it. He wants to hang out with them as much as he can.
I think the problem is when you go into that little closet and you make this little dark hidey hole for yourself, there is a scurry as your gunpowder elemental sort of jumps on your shoulder and like curls up with you, and then you hear from outside the door. Like 5 other gunpowder elementals are like sort of staring up at you.
Good night, guys. Come on.
And then, so if anyone were to look, it would just be like Cal, mouth agape, like all of them sort of sleeping.
One of them has crawled into his skull.
I think 2 of them have. I think so.
Those are my eyes now.
Are the beds big enough for me, or do I need to push beds together?
No, like I said, they're bunk beds. They're. I think the bottom bunk, your feet are going to be draping off a little bit.
That's cool.
Yeah, but you are.
Is your footrest.
No.
While you are in the captain's quarters, there are a couple of benefits that come with it. You cannot be surprised, okay? So if there is something that is about to attack the ship or board the ship while you are in the captain's quarters, as long as you are resting in the captain's quarters, you will be notified before the attack happens, okay?
Oh, amazing.
While you are in the captain's quarters, due to the magic inherent in the ship, you need 4 hours rest, not 8. So, should you so choose, you can take 4 hours rest in there and then walk the ship, look at maps, do things of that sort. But as long as you are resting in the captain's quarters for that 4 hours, you only need 4 hours rest.
That's huge.
Okay?
Could a night's about 8 hours?
Correct.
Could I rest 4 hours and then someone else rest 4 hours? Or is it a captain only?
It is the captain. Unfortunately, it's like an attuned item.
Gotcha.
While you wear the hat is attuned to you, and it is your.
I will.
If you would like to give up the captain, there's
don't
just no
think I can.
telling. There's just no telling if you'll get it back or not.
That was very generous of you.
The catch. You feel what the ship feels.
Yeah. I figured as much.
So if the ship goes down, you
Yikes.
immediately drop to 0 hit points.
Oh no.
And we start making death saves. Okay?
Okay.
While the hat's on. This is part of the ship, part of the crew. Okay?
So all we need to do is just like, ka-chow. The hat on.
Now, there is a possibility, you don't know how this works, there is a possibility that if he starts showing damage, that a Cure Wounds could fix a rudder.
Ooh.
Or something along those lines. Like, I'm opening this up both ways.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm opening this up two-way street here. The ship is him, he is the ship while he's got the captain's hat on. So, like, if you guys want to, like Cure Wounds him or do something like that, you may start to see some of that leak over into the ship since they are so closely tied together.
Please don't sink me.
Granted, I don't want this to turn into a full-fledged, like, we're only on the boat because we get cool stuff at the boat. There are plenty of islands to explore and things of that sort. Mark down that long rest on your sheet.
So excited.
And then I could push it later than we need to go and come up with stuff, but I think after all that sharing and all that level, that was perfect. Let's end it there.
Yeah.
No, actually,
Wait.
let's do this. Let me set up the Halloween episode.
Cool.
I'm really into this. So thank you, Deacon Smith, and thank you, Action Sturge. So here's the deal. Gang, you wake up the next morning super refreshed. Not only are you super refreshed, but there is plenty of food cooking, and it's not just fruit. As you hear a clattering from the galley as you hear ding, 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 and as that happens, the smell of fresh cooked meats, cooked eggs, are all sort of wafting through the ship. You don't know where the meats came from. You don't know where the eggs came from, but those smells are coming forth from the ship.
Question.
Yep.
Would it be a meat elemental, or would it be a breakfast food elemental, a lunch food elemental, or a dinner food elemental?
There are some secrets of the ship you have yet to discover, and we shall keep them. But I feel like the Ron Swanson breakfast elemental has to be something that exists.
Okay.
You are treated, for those of you, I've never asked this, is anybody on the ship vegetarian? Okay. So everyone else, you are treated to food, and you find you're a little disappointed as you look at the food and stuff like that, and then Soup kind of comes over and he's like, Soup, and you have a healthy breakfast of fruit and veggies and things of that sort. What would you like to do with your time?
Study my book.
Can you eat this food? Yeah.
Cool.
You can eat this food. Study your book. How many hours would you like to read your book?
How many hours do I have?
Take 4 hours, a leisurely morning of laying in a hammock as the sea goes by.
Mr. Pomo, pop out and, look at spells or potions with me, not spells, and just be like, Zah!
Yeah. Pomo, you find that one of the elementals has bonded with each of you, with the exception of Slowpoke. Each of you have
I just got a ship.
You're welcome, buddy. Each of you has this sort of special bond. Thistle, you spend the morning, I think, with Soup, going around and playing practical jokes on some of the other groups and eating little bits of fruit. Like, you currently do not have to worry about food while you are here on the ship. You're just constantly snacking throughout the day. You are Liam anytime we go blueberry picking. Just like, So each of you have an elemental that you have bonded with and have a conduit to conversations. Yes, I believe that, was it Pomo?
Pomo.
Pomo is looking at potions
monkey.
and you...
Poison monkey.
And he's like... He's just saying yes and
That's
no.
what he says.
He's just saying yes and no. He's
He
just
goes,
going like, yes, yes, no, no. As you like flip through potions, you're like, what about that one? Can that kill me? Yes. What about that one? No. Yes. Yes.
Oh no.
Yes. No, 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 no.
And he looks at one and he's like,
Like it's...
He looks at that one, and he's like super confused, and you go like, oh god, and you turn the page upside down, and he's like, oh no. You guys have an enjoyable time. Mark down 4 more hours of reading this book.
4 more?
4 more hours of reading the book.
I
8 hours.
am practicing sparring with Anchor on the top deck.
Perfect. Yeah, you and Anchor. Anchor doesn't want to hit you is the problem because you formed a bond. So you're just like, practice hits, and he's like, hit, practice, and you'll like throw a jab, and it's like, boom.
Oh, funny.
Good job. You're trying to get him to like hit back a little bit, like, but he's kind of an anchor, like he just sort of.
After a couple of like hits and he doesn't do anything, I'm like, okay.
What are you doing with your time?
You said there's no cannons on the ship. There's no cannons.
No, there's cannons on the ship. There are no cannonballs currently.
Okay. He's just going up and down the cannon like he think elemental. He's inspecting the gun, inspecting the cannons, seeing if there was no cannonballs left or nothing the ship created.
No, I mean it's hard because you're looking around and every
an
time
elemental
you
for that, like
and
an app for
what
that?
is your elemental's name? Did you come?
Sparky.
Sparky. Anytime you look at Sparky and you're like cannonballs, man, where are we? Where did we land on the cannonballs? And you hear a.
Oh my god.
You hear a ship eat. No cannonballs.
The ship needed the cannonballs to.
Ship eat. Then cannonballs. Ship no eat. No cannonballs.
Feed the ship. Get armor. We have to feed the ship.
I just imagine you walking in 5 little like elemental.
Yeah, he's got a little. He's got a little like entourage now, like because like Powder's up top here, and like and then but every time or Sparky's up top, and every time he looks at Sparky, like you kind of like look behind you, and there's like 4 or 5 more, and you'll always surprise one of them. One of them will always instinctively just be like.
I'm gonna point at one of the cannons. You want fire cannon?
Oh no!
Because we're in open water right now, right?
Yeah.
I sent a message to Slowpoke. We're gonna shoot a cannon for fun.
What? Don't worry about it.
Everybody on the ship here is don't worry about it.
And then I'm gonna have Sparky load the cannon. We're gonna.
What are you loading the cannon with?
We're just gonna shoot.
Everybody's walking around the ship at this point as he's looking for things to load.
Yes.
Can I work with a couple of elementals and Soup to poop appropriately sized watermelons?
You do realize that
I love that
the
bee.
that black powder would explode the watermelon inside the
Should be
cannon
fine.
itself.
It
It
could
would
be
not
fine.
project
Magic.
out.
Magic.
It would just be watermelon guts
Magic.
inside your cannon. I hope you all
Magic.
realize. Right, go ahead.
Give me a dexterity saving throw.
Wait.
For me.
Yes.
Oh no!
Do I still have the 2 halves of the cannonball?
Nat 1.
Nat 1. As you're like, you do realize that and you look down as like a blueberry has just come out of nowhere and landed in your throat, and Soup's like, Soup.
What fruit made up the finger?
Baby carrot. Soup like begins concentrating, for lack of a better word, on creating a reinforced cannonball and working, like communicating with the elementals, and the elementals are just kind of like looking at him as he's squatting, and they're like giving directions, and then he's like readjusting, and then pretty soon there is a, and You have a decently size, but it doesn't look green. It's got an odd, like heavy feel to it.
Cool.
But it's,
No,
yeah.
we're gonna load the fruit inside the cannon and.
Okay. What are we firing at? Are we just
is
firing
there,
into open water?
Is there a conveniently placed plot tree?
I will cast a minor illusion. It can only be 30 feet away, unfortunately. But minor illusion of a big old target over the water.
Yeah, let's.
Okay. There's a conveniently placed target placed over the water. Give me a D20. Add your dex. Add your proficiency to this, as you are now proficient with cannon fire.
That's the sense of everyone here all night. So first proficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So 17.
Like right below the bullseye. Like it came close, but like it fired off, and as you do, all the elementals are like, and like just a little like things of smoke. One of them, like you see Sparky, who just like runs straight into the wall from excitement, and just like
These are your children.
Yes.
All of them are just ecstatic. Eris, what are you doing with your time aboard the ship?
Yes.
I have been trying to find anything on the ship that's been like clothing, material, anything like that.
Okay, give me an investigation check. You're looking for clothes, or you're looking for cloth, bits
Cloth.
of... Yeah, okay, got
Clothes,
it.
anything that
Yeah.
I could use. Investigation?
Yes.
Well, that's a
These are my
snake.
people.
Other than the red piece of cloth, you managed to find some tattered rags of various colors. I think you find some reds, you find some whites, but all of them look like they were used to like clean and stuff like that. It's hard to find any other like clothing. Would you give her permission to go check the captain's quarters?
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. You go into the captain's quarters and you're digging around, and there is a closet. And as you open the closet, there are 4 or 5 very posh-looking outfits of different styles and filigree, besuiting a captain
I'm in the quarters too.
should he so choose. And you're like, oh yes. And I was like, I didn't even know that was there. I wasn't paying attention. And she opens the closet, and sure enough, there are 4 or 5 outfits in this space.
These are wonderful, very well crafted. What do you want to do with these?
Nothing. Close the door and walk out with all the other cloths that I already have.
Yeah.
All right.
So I take the time to start using all of the dirty cloths that I found to start making a flag.
You have just enough. What needs to happen is, as you start crafting this flag...
Well, no, real quick, I walk out on deck with them and be like, sadly, they will not fit with all my armor, so I throw them on the deck.
The clothing?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I cannot hang my armor up in that closet.
4 sets of very fancy filigreed, all of different sort of makes, have been flung onto the deck of the ship.
I don't know.
Does
Not
wouldn't
my
do
size.
it, but somebody please put an elemental in these clothes and have them run around.
Done!
Who do you put in the
Oh,
clothing?
please put Anchor in this really posh.
Anchor puts
Anchor
on
gets clothing.
puts on the jacket, and it's a little snug, and then he just goes and like shrinks down a little bit and just gets a little taller, but it, like the jackets fit, the pants fit. And then he looks at you and he nods.
You're so handsome.
And he goes, ah! And as he does, he grows his chest and like breaks through the clothing, and he's just like, ah!
I want it.
Yeah, there's still 3 outfits. As he breaks through the first outfit, there is a clink, 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 clink.
I pick it up.
Yeah.
I'm right next to him, so.
Yep.
Assume.
Little gold doubloon. It is not a gold coin. It is not gold as in you would find in this world. It is a small, about the size of your fist.
Who's nearby?
Gold doubloon.
Who is near? You
Eris, everybody is sort of milling about the ship. You're getting your armor situated. You're reading. But
I'm gonna walk over to Eris.
Eris, Thistle, and Cal would be up on the.
I can't read. I'm gonna walk away.
That's fair. I take a look at it.
What languages do you speak?
Infernal, Elvish, and Common.
No.
Ooh.
Great.
Speak giants.
Yeah,
Two.
I would
Read
show it
giant.
to.
Wait, just
I'd show it to Thistle.
Add Sylvan.
No, 7.
Cal's around.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I have is I speak undead. I speak common and undead.
It is written in undead.
Yeah. Could you please read this for me?
Sure.
And announce an undead? Because that's important info.
You're not sure why you can read this coin. I think this is your first interaction with the language of
This
undead.
is very much our first.
As you touch the coin, the languages of undead is something that I created with this class. The coins are arcane symbols. There's nothing to them. There's no written language, nothing akin to that. But the language of the undead is the dead. And Cal, you reach forward to touch the coin with your finger, and as you do, you are sucked into the last moments of the man who held this coin, which is how you inscribe the language of the undead. You guys all watch as Cal is going like, well, I'm not sure that, and then you are aboard this very ship. The elementals are beginning to, are fighting for this crew, which all seems to be aboard the ship with swords in hand, fighting off all manners of skeletons, which are climbing over the sides of the ship. Some of the skeletons still have flesh on parts of them and are sort of like covering their face and snarling in one direction. This man is fighting them off, and his sword prowess is insane. The moves that he's pulling in order to sort of hold people back, and as this happens, Thistle is around. I think she gives out a little eep, and so does Eris, and it draws the attention of Slowpoke, and it draws the attention of Dez, as Cal is acting this out. Cal is not just seeing this through his eyes. Cal is now brandishing the sword and fighting things invisibly on the deck of the ship. As the coin is still sort of outstretched in his hand. He doesn't have a sword in his hand, but he's moving it about. And Eris, you're just like, okay, do we wake a sleepwalker? Or what do we do? Like, and Thistle, you're noticing this as well. Dez, you are called to the deck, so are you, Slowpoke, as you see Cal flailing about. With his last breath, he manages to fight off 3 or 4 of the zombies off the deck of the ship and push them into the water. And as he does, he smiles and turns around and looks into the face of a creature. This creature is part man with these... He's humanoid in shape, but he has tentacles coming off of his face.
Part of the ship, part of the crew.
The tentacles are coming off of his face, and there is a fluttering about him as the zombie forces stop, bring their heads forward, and he realizes that he is the last member of the crew alive. And he hits his knees in front of him, and the man strides forward wearing the armor. And he goes, I tend to leave a man alive, because I find a name carries weight. And he flips a coin in between his fingers. A coin that looks oddly familiar.
Oh, I hate it.
So I want you to remember the name Davy Jones.
Oh, no.
And the tentacles that seem to writhe and pulsate off his face. You're gonna spread the tale. And I'm gonna grow a legacy. Savvy. And the man shakes his head. And as he shakes his head, a small child is brought up to the deck of the ship. And he turns around to look at the child and looks back at the man. And he smiles. And he goes, well, I guess we don't be needing you after all. And the Mind Flayer moves his tentacles forward.
Oh, God!
Chomping into him. And that's the last thing that you see. As the tentacled face pulls back, and the man's last thoughts leave you.
In that pile of clothes that was thrown, was there a bandana?
There is.
Cool. Cal's going to take that and put it on. And then going to tell everybody. This ship that coin was done, basically everything that was portrayed out. This ship was visited by Davy Jones.
When he says that,
Yikes.
all of the elementals turn to look and stare at you. And Anchor takes a few steps backward and curls up into a little ball. Very similar to the ball that you saw before. As Sparky walks forward, points at the coin, points at the rest of everybody, and says, "Bad dad."
Dad.
Bad dad. And they all start picking it up. Bad dad. Bad dad. Bad dad. Bad dad. Bad dad. And it starts echoing across. And you think for a brief moment you hear the soft sounds of thunder somewhere off in the distance. That's where we're going to end tonight's episode.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Next week, we're going to continue our spoopy theme as we get into what I'm affectionately calling Neverland, the Spooky Pirate Adventure. As we fight against Davy Jones, who when I was designing a man with tentacles for a face, I was like, I wonder if I should just make him a mind flayer, because mind flayers have tentacles. Yeah! So, Davy Jones is a mind flayer. Thank you, everybody that stuck around with us and we allowed us to tell stories tonight and dive into characters. The Deacon Smith, the Action Sturge, Wolf Grin, everybody that is hanging out in the chat with us. Castle Master,
what a
another
nerd.
Indigo Team, Knight the Art Gaming, and Torrid, Warlando, Adam, Winstalker, Wolfrain, everybody and anybody that I might have missed. Thank you. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget, get T.E. Graves. You too. T.E. Graves is our Artist of the Month of October. I highly recommend that you go and support her. She has an amazing Instagram with lots of fun creations. We are actually going to be giving away her with our character drawings. We actually have a special pumpkin giveaway that we are going to be giving away during your one shot, I believe.
On Monday?
With Castlevania.
Yeah.
And then because I have a special pair of dice for you to give away on your that are Halloween. So we're gonna open it up and close it out right. So
the DM won.
Everyone, it's so weird. These are mine now. I am the captain now, said Slowpoke. We love you guys. Stick around for the raid. It's a chance for you to earn even more Twitch points as we get more and more customizable with how you can spend those. So we love you guys. We'll see you soon. Indigo Connect. And hey, are we ever going to stop throwing fruit at pirates? I can't believe it.
Food Fight 2.0.
Food Fight
2.0.
2.0.
We win every month. I'm sorry.
That's insane. Oh. It's a chance for you to earn even more Twitch points as we get more and more customizable with how you can spend those. So we love you guys. We'll see you soon. Indigo Connect. And hey, are we ever going to stop throwing fruit at pirates? I can't believe it.
Food Fight 2.0.
Food Fight 2.0.
We win every month. I'm sorry.
That's insane.